Hyperspace window detected.
Activate the security camera. I need to see that ship.
This is Colonel Lennox Reynolds, captain of the UCC destroyer 8573 Occult. We hear you have a bit of a pest problem in the area.
Reading you loud and clear, Captain Reynolds. It's good to see some heavy artillery finally showing up. We can use all the help we can get out here. Good day, Sven the Slayer here once again, and welcome back to Starmade on the Star Squadron server. So, today is a bit of an exciting day for me. A lot of hard work and many hours spent has gone into this episode. Pretty much for the last month, I have been working on this project, and that is to get my Sickle class destroyer up and running. As you could see in the intro, I put a lot of time into getting it up to date. So this ship was built before the shape update. So I built the ship before we even had pentas and heptas, or whatever, tetras and heptas, whatever they're called now. And so it needed all of those. It needed shield rechargers. Needed the weapon update. So I've been dumping a lot of time off camera working on it, so I'll give you a tour of that ship. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Of course I need to quote. So it has a dedicated transporter room with 6 transporters. It's very basic, nothing too flashy about this room. I just had some space to kill. So what happened was I actually had to move the airlocks forward from the original design. So originally there was a crew room here, which got scrapped, and I didn't want to just stick another room here because of the odd shape of it, because it's really long and deep, so it didn't make sense for me to have a 4x4 room back here and then have all this space in front of it. And yeah, we'll start from the back and work our way forward. So back here is the main cargo bay, and of course it has all the usual features. Giant sliding door, and I can actually fit a jump shuttle in here. And I think I can fit 2 standard shuttles. And the jump shuttles are pretty big. They fit in the middle. I don't think I can fit the heavy shuttles, but I don't use heavy shuttles that often. There's no point to them over, say, a jump shuttle, but they do carry a little more than a standard shuttle. There's no storage in here. All the storage is in these rooms. These are the actual cargo bays, and they're identical on both sides. And here we have a little fire control for the missiles. These are the primary long-range missiles, mostly for like anti-fighters. You just have to point and shoot. They're not really that powerful of missiles, so they're really much better at taking down smaller targets. So we have the same labeling system as the longsword, but I've started using these little bits here thanks to watching Gmodism's video. I really like it. It adds so much to these displays. Before they were just a big open screen and a splot of text, and I hated that. For the longest time I was refusing to label my rooms, and then I developed the actual naming system, this system here. Well, I didn't develop it, I actually took it. It's based off of a real-life naming system, so if anybody's been in the Navy, they might recognize it. I don't know, I've never actually been in the Navy, so I've not seen it, but I looked it up online. I can show that off, show a link to that, but it's going to be modified as to suit my needs. But yeah, I got all this display mods in there, and so this room, when I moved the airlock, I got this room here, which turned nicely into a little brig. So I have a guard post, and then we have physical doors because they don't run out of power. And there's just a metal bench and a red light in here. That's all you get. I really like the way the brigs turn out. And slabs give us so much freedom when working in small spaces like that. You can see the slabs just separating the rooms, and I can pretty much get like a three long room in here. Because if it was just a 2x2 box, it would be awful. It just wouldn't work. But because I got that slab, it makes it feel like it's a 3x2. And that's what the brigs is. So this isn't a military. Well, it is military. It's not a prisoner transport, so it doesn't need a very large brig. It's very unlikely to actually be used, and it's near the airlock, so you can take the prisoners directly into the brig, or if you transport them over, you can go straight from the transporter room into the brig. So it makes sense that the brig is close by these means of moving people around, as long as nobody escapes, because they wouldn't have very far to travel if you escape. Airlocks have been labeled Port Airlock Beta because it's the rearward airlock. These are standard design used in all my ships. That's just a copy and paste, and of course they're all linked together through logic. So you can see the logic pipes in the floor connecting all the airlocks together. And then forward of here is one of the areas I had issue with on the first version of this ship. So these rooms used to be like auxiliary mess halls. They were just tables and chairs, and I didn't really like that. I didn't know what to do with the rooms back then. So if I ever had an empty room, I just stuffed it full of tables and chairs. But now we have the fitness room, so you can run on the treadmills if you aren't running down the halls. It's pretty much for off-duty. If you're not sleeping, and a couple off-duty officers or something, maybe it's limited to the officers. Maybe the enlisted can't access it. And then we have a computer lab, which would be for the enlisted, because all the officers, I think, have their own computers. And then forward of here is the B class. So these are the B class accommodations. I think there's 48 here, so it's the slightly higher ranked enlisted. And the only really difference is they get their own shower facilities. And each side has their own shower room, so they don't have to share with the rest of the ship. And it's all standard 4-to-a-room military grade housing. I guess it's better than everybody being shoved in a single room, which I could do if I took out the walls. It'd make the ship lighter. But I really wouldn't gain any more bunks. I guess I could move a couple of the bunks over. I probably could gain a couple of the bunks if I were to strip out the walls. And then just a decorative storage closet. It doesn't even actually have any actual storage in there. So here would be where the other the B class originally had their own private eating area as well, which I wasn't happy with, so that got removed. And let's pick up the pace a little bit. Forward airlocks, and these airlocks also have a decorative storage closet there. And then we also have the bow airlock, access to the really lower deck, which there's nothing down there. It's decorative. There's not really any point to having it. I could just fill it with system if I was really wanting to. And this is actually more storage. So there's actually cargo in here. And then we can go up to the core deck. So my core decks are always labeled blue, and they are actually 0 is the first number there. That's the primary deck, which is different on actual ships, because the actual ship, the primary deck, would be the top of the ship. So you can see this is 1 indicating 1 deck below primary. And then above here would be O1, indicating one deck above primary. So that's actually how it is in the real naming system, except it would be the top deck of the ship, and this is the core deck is the primary deck. So that's the difference. Here we have the bridge with 12 crew stations in here, captain's chair, and a new display here. The name and designation of the ship, the class, shields and power levels. Back here we have the captain's quarters. He gets his own shower, sink, table, computer, desk, shelving, whatnot. Not a fancy bed, but he's got his own room, so it should be good enough for him. And then back here we have, these are all the C-class accommodations. And there is 104 C-class accommodations, I believe. So total enlisted on this ship would be 152. And then I have 12 officers and a captain. And here's the main mess hall. This is much better than the original design. It's much more open and logical. So before there was, I don't know where exactly I had the wall. I think the wall might be in the same point, but the room was completely closed. The kitchen area was completely closed off, and I didn't have like the food display. So this is much nicer. You can actually cook and then serve up the food right away. And oh yeah, one thing. So this leads directly into the captain's quarters, so he can get his food delivered directly to him if need be. And of course, all of this is the crew quarters, all labeled all throughout there. And here is the primary shower facility for all the C-class, so they have to share one shower room. But I guess they have private stalls, so it's not that big of a deal. And a couple of the ones don't have windows because they're too far back. And then here we have the wiring closet. So this was actually just like storage in here before. It was a wiring storage room. And now I actually have all the wireless, the intership remotes, rail speed controller, the antenna control, the lights, and everything is run through this room and then throughout the ship. So you can see everything comes to here before getting routed throughout the ship. And then directly behind that is the core room, or central computer core. And I have these fusion generators. This RP what powers the ship. And let's head up to the final deck real quick before jumping into the core. So here is the Hydroponics. It's where all the food is grown to feed the crew, and protein synthesizers, because you need that meat. It's all fast-growing crops. So this ship can survive in deep space. It's as long as it has power, it can feed and maintain its crew. And all 165 of them. And fire control for the autocannon, server rack, and just some crew stations. And these are the officers' quarters. There's 12 of them on the ship. And that's all officers' quarters. They get a bit more room, and they have their own shower facility too, the officers. They don't have showers in their own room. And then the wardroom. This is where the officers and the captain would eat generally, or have important meetings. And this is just like a maintenance area along the cannon. And the final bit here would be the med bay. Now, other than the access to the landing pads, so the ship can carry 2 fighters as well. And then up here is just a empty... Oh, that needs to be fixed. Yeah, didn't notice that. So this is just observation deck, nothing special up here. You can see out on the side. You can't see forward because there's just the way the Mohawk was made. So you can see that still a work in progress. This is the first functional refit. And in the med bay we have 2 operating rooms, 2 ICUs, and then general rest, which also have opening and closing privacy screens, which is a feature I added to my station. And of course the microcellular scanners, standard on most UCC ships or UCS ships with any kind of medical facilities. Most ships should at least have one of them. But that would be it for the interior. It's quite expansive, quite a big ship. Not too hard to get lost in. There's not really any twists and turns. There's stairs in the front and back. Everything is properly labeled, so if you know how to get around, you should be able to get around just fine. Yeah, this way goes down. And then into the core. Let's see, so exterior-wise, she is very similar to the Longsword. She shares a very similar shape, of course. Her ship built by the same naval yard, or for the same fleet, so of course they would share similarities. And she is absolutely armed to the teeth. I got these big long-range railguns here. Autocannons for getting up close and personal. Missile launchers for taking out ships at range. So there's actually 4 cannons, 4 missiles. I can fire 2 at a time. So those are primarily for taking out ships I don't feel like getting close to for fighting Assanth. I can just point at it and fire off a couple, 2 or 3 shots, maybe even all 4. You know, pretty much killing Assanth. Not that great against ships this size, because you know missiles aren't really that good against taking out armor anymore. And this turret was actually built when I started redesigning the hull. I built this turret before the rail update, but it was easy to refit because all I had to do is, since it's designed to be flat on the surface, all I had to do is put the rail docker underneath the core and countersink it in one block. And that was really easy to make this turret functional. I originally had round barrels, which I replaced with these taller, more oval-shaped, big honking railguns, which I really like. Overall, I think the turret feels a little too big for this size ship, but I'm pretty happy with it. And underneath, I have this little sickle design, which you can't see because the turret takes up so much space. She's armed to the teeth, 6 forward-facing autocannons, 2 rear-facing autocannons, 5 missile launchers, 2 artillery, 6 anti-fighter turrets. These are machine guns with overdrive, so they pack quite a punch in a small space. Lots of AMS. There's 4 up top here, 4 down here. 2 facing out the side, 2 facing out the back, or 4 facing out the side because there's 1 up top and 1 on the bottom. Other features, of course, I have the spinning radar. So this radar was actually designed for this ship, so I knew I would have enough room to put a spinning radar installation on this ship, so I went out to see how small I could make it, and I went through a couple designs and ended up with this, and was just so pleased with that and how small it was. Of course, it's countersunk too to make it work. And I was so pleased with how it turned out that I was actually able to put it on the foobar here. No, this isn't the foobar. The longsword class gets a... And I was racking my brain for a very long time since the rails came out trying to figure out how to get a spinning radar on that ship, and the answer was I had to refit this ship. So this ship getting refit is really a side effect of this Let's Play. Because of the story we got going, I felt the need to bring in bigger ships. So while a couple longswords will, is more than I need to survive, but if war were to break out, we would need something bigger. And for cleaning out pirate stations, this guy is king. And you'll have to let me know if you want to see more like cinematic video taking out the pirate stations with this guy, because taking out pirate stations with this big ship is a cakewalk. The two longswords could take out the Alpha, but this guy's just gonna walk all over all the pirate stations. Yeah, of course, it's got the standard blinking lights, standard airlocks, 5 airlocks. Some people like hiding their doors. I like having my doors nice and visible and multiple of them, so I could dock here, I could dock here, I could dock here, I could dock here and here if I want to. I don't know. I could dock ships up top. This one I haven't put logic into this one yet. These will probably become a logic airlock too at some point. Like I said, it is still work in progress. I needed to just get the ship out and flying in a flying state. That was the minimum requirement. The interior had to be done and whatnot to get it flying. So other features, it has, big cannons, railguns. They actually eat all the power. I had to dump a lot more capacitors into this ship to get those cannons to fire. Missile launchers are the same story. They eat the power up, and I have to stagger the shots. The radar jammer will work, but I think I can shoot and fly, I think. I have to be careful about how much power I consume. It has 2 jump drives. They're both fairly slow, but one is just a backup. Say I fly into a sun, and all I have to do is fire off the second jump drive to get out. Then we have the second bar here, which all of my wireless remotes are missing. Yeah, let me log back in real quick and see if I can fix that. Well, that seems to have fixed it. We have the normal airlock features. They're not labeled, of course, but I can lock down and auto-compress the airlock. I think I showed those features off for the mall. It's standard for all my airlocks. And then I have... I guess the game's still trying to catch up. So I have the antenna that pop out and fold in. Yeah, the game's still catching up. That feature's on the longsword, so I can't remember off the top of my head if I showed that off. But those would be like the communication array, the long-range communication antennas, the front of the ship, far away, and of course I can still dock flat nose by retracting them. And these antennae are tied into the missile systems, so they're for tracking targets for the missiles. And these ones up here are like the short-range communications, but for longer-range scanners and long-range communications, you deploy the other antenna. Come on, load in. I hate how ships won't load until you get close. So that would be the antenna, and then the last feature, of course, is the combat mode. So activating the combat mode closes all of the windows. It retracts the antennas. Once you're in combat mode, you can then choose to extend the antennas back out, but entering combat mode automatically retracts them. It also puts force fields around these vulnerable intakes here, just so they're not easily exposed to weapons fire. shuts off the lights, and the entire ship goes into this low lighting mode, except for a couple of rooms that I forgot to set up. There's a couple rooms that are still completely lit. That's the one I forgot. The Aeroponics bay, wherever that is. Get lost into this big hulk. So the Aeroponics should be above the core. Yeah, so Aeroponics is still lit, because you want that food to still grow, even if you're in low lighting mode. And the med bay, of course, the OR is still well lit, because you wouldn't want the lights going out in the OR. And yeah, I think that'll be about it for today's episode. Considering how much time I've already put into this ship. And again, you'll have to let me know if you want to see the ship more in action versus maybe some cinematic wiping out of the pirate stations. I have a lot to go over with... Oops, I'm drifting. The station. I lost a lot of time this week, because you can see from this angle that I repainted the shipyard. So I started repainting it using the remove and replace, and I didn't have enough of blocks, so it cleared out a couple things. So I hit undo, and if any of you know, if you replace wedges with wedges and then hit undo, they forget their orientation. So the entire shipyard got destroyed, and I'll put a picture up on screen right now to show what it looked like. And it took me hours yesterday I had to rebuild the entire shipyard, so all the time I wanted to be recording this episode yesterday got lost just rebuilding the shipyard. Overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. I actually fixed a lot of the issues. Actually, am I seeing missing block? Yes, I'm seeing a missing block. I'll have to fix that. Yeah, I fixed a lot of the issues that I had making it in the first place, so it didn't take as long to rebuild as it did to design, and I'm actually happier with the design and the way that all the trusses were made. And I built the dome on top and this up here. So I've actually recorded talking about the station and the plans for the station 3 times now, which seems to always get deleted when I'm editing the video. I'm not happy with the way this half dome has turned out. I don't even know if I've ever mentioned that was the plan, because I've talked about it and deleted it so many times, but I'm not happy with this. I gotta do something else. There's too many texture issues here. It just looks really ugly. I have a plan for that. Next week I hope to have a more hands-on video, but I just really wanted to show off the Sickle here. And I hope you enjoyed a tour episode. Actually seeing one of my greater accomplishments. This is my second largest ship. I have only one ship that is bigger than this, I think, and it is definitely my biggest, baddest ship at this point. It has the most firepower of all of my ships. I don't have anything bigger because of how much thought and design goes into doing a ship with this much interior. Because sure, I could probably put together a shell, throw in some guns, and have a bigger, more capable fighting ship, but it wouldn't be real to me. That's just not what I'm looking to get out of Starmade. I like having ships that feel real, and the engines are sure just chunks of systems, but it needs to function too. So yeah, I need form, I need function, I need it all, and I'm really happy with the way the ship turned out. I hope you enjoyed a tour episode and a little less hands-on. I'm trying to do more I really want to do more hands-on episodes instead of just you know, talking about what I'm planning or what I've done. But this ship I'm really proud of her, and I really wanted to show it off, so I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.